strategic priorities have changed at world level. And this has happened in the middle of the triennium. So we had to change the accounts into which the entries were made, and therefore that's why we have these differences with the budget. So that is the main difference that we have. But if you see there, the budget and the actual difference, and the budget and the actual difference in the two budget lines and the two strategic priorities, you'll see that the two will match each other if you add them together. So that's because we have changed the priorities and the accounts where the entries are being made. The next slide shows the position to the middle of the current year. As you can see, more or less we are on track. The budget is on track. But of course, that budget there, the events budget, includes the conference costs, which obviously were not paid by the 30th, part of it has been paid by the 31st of March. The assets position, as at the end of September 2013, 14, and 15, is that one. You can see that most of our assets are the fixed assets, which are basically the financial assets that we have. The rest of the assets, the light green assets, represent the working capital that we have. So that's our working capital. The financial assets represent the European Investment Fund, which is invested with the European Scout Foundation. So that is the distribution of assets as at the end of the last audited year, the 30th of September 2015. Again, you can see that most of the time relates to the financial assets. If we look at the liabilities, we have something similar. Well, we do an accounting there trick, so the European Investment Fund is shown as an asset and liability at the same time, because then we transfer it to the foundation to invest it. So the foundation has it in their balance sheet in a similar way. So that's a technical issue, and that is because we have to do it due to the Swiss law requirements. This is the distribution of the liabilities, more or less is what we have explained there. And finally, I have here the trend indicating the position of the European Investment Fund. That is given in Swiss francs. The rest of the accounts were presented in euros. This is in Swiss francs because the fund is invested in Switzerland, is invested in Swiss francs. So you can see that there is a growth of the fund, but in the last couple of years, in the last year, let's say, here, we have experienced some reduction in the value of the fund. That, of course, reflects the position of the markets. So I believe soon it will start picking up again. So this is from my side. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? I see Denmark, and afterwards Denmark.
Does it work? Yeah. Hello, my name is Christian. I'm from Denmark. First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for the improvements to the financial reporting from the last Regional Scout Conference. When I look at the expenses, or when we look at the expenses, you can see that the strategic priorities and that we've spent some money on that. And if you add that together, then we've spent 12% of our money on the strategic priorities. And then we have a very big block that says personnel costs, and another one that says project expenditures as well. So my question here is, for future reporting, would it be possible to clarify how the personnel costs work towards the strategic priorities? Because we can see in all the movies that we had before with the report of the triennial plan that a lot of our staff have been working towards actually achieving our strategic priorities. So I would like to ask either David or Marius if would this be possible to give a rough estimate on the future reporting, so we can see what our staff is doing as well. Thank you.
If I can answer that, because it's a very simple question, a very simple answer. On a regular 6-monthly basis, I report directly to the Secretary General in relation to the allocation of staff time to the strategic priorities, and therefore it is a very easy task to do, and we can do that as an extra exercise in relation to the Treasurer's report for the triennium. This is a quite easy aspect, and I think that the big variation in relation to projects is if we get money which is funded, it's a project, and therefore it's an additional income, and just in relation to the proportion of staff costs, because I recognise that you will have seen there is an increase. And that is because we made a conscious decision to go back to the full complement of staff. We, for a period, were understaffed in relation to, we were using temporary staff, we were using less efficient methods, and therefore we went to a full complement of staff, which is now 10.2 full-time equivalent staff. And that during the triennium we also had additionally funding from projects in relation to project support, which we incorporated into that. We can't really take it out because we need to do it in an open way particularly for the EU funding.
It's perfect. Thanks.
So it's not a problem.
That sounds good.
The Netherlands had another question or remark? The Netherlands are sitting in front of, yeah.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the reporting. And the question I'd like to ask is regarding the European Investment Fund. It is invested with the Scout Foundation, the European Scout Foundation, and I was wondering whether you can give us any insight into how the European Scout Foundation is investing that money for us, with European region advocating the Sustainable Development Goals and all that might be of interest to us.
Sorry, it's me again. I'm not the financial expert. The reality is that the European Committee has agreed an investment policy in relation to any money which is allocated into investment funds, and there are proportions of the investment that we ask for in terms of liquidity, etc., etc. And that part of our investment policy is ethical investment, so that we are actually contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals and not actually being a negative impact on that. This policy is renewed on an annual basis and then made available to the European Scout Foundation so that they can comply.
But the fund is invested by the European Scout Foundation, so Jorgen will be able on his report.
Yes, it might be a bit unfair to ask him for the actual detail, but I think that certainly he will verify that the investments are done according to the policy of the region, which actually was drawn up quite some time ago in relation to ethical investments and ensuring that we are contributing to sustainable development. Good question.
Any other questions or remarks? then I'm asking you if there is a proposer to propose accepting the report on what is it, Cyprus? Cyprus. Is there a seconder? And it is Montenegro? Yeah, all right. So we have a proposal and a seconder to accept the report of the regional treasurer for the period 2013-2016. Does the conference accept the report? Okay. Any vote against? Any abstentions? Then I declare the acceptance of the financial report, and a big applause to you and your work. Thank you. So on a more informal note, I now invite David McKee to present his input on the European Support Centres, Geneva and Brussels, and staffing.
I realized I closed my prompt, so give me a second, please.
Maybe we can hear how the football game went, Belgium.
That's very dangerous. Dear friends, as you know, this is a relatively new opportunity for the Regional Director to be able to say a few words. It originated in Brussels as a consequence of one of our members who is here being a little bit annoyed that there hadn't been a proper recognition of the work of the staff. And that's my role as the Regional Director, to ensure that I say thank you on your behalf. It's a short opportunity to recognise a huge amount of goodwill which underlines the way that we work together, volunteers and staff, committee and those paid to support the region. You've seen the reporting of the Regional Scout Plan, and wasn't it great? A renewed thank you to all of those who are involved in the region in supporting all of us. However, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to my staff for the dedication and commitment that they have shown. Long days and nights at events, Scout calls that never seem to end, a plethora of collaboration tools that seems to be never ending, but yet their responses have always been honest and upfront as they have sought to support you and me. I want initially to recall the staff who have left us. Nicolo Franzini, who was involved in the Safe from Harm, Manuela Capraro, again Safe from Harm, Leticia Gambini, External Relations, Thomas Tugilescu from External Relations. And we had 2 interns during the period, no longer. We had Marianne Gomez, who was based in Geneva, and Eva Hunandarova, who was in Brussels. And 2 colleagues have changed locations and are now working in KL. Mihailo Atanakovic, who was our web manager, and Jose Figueroa, who is now working in relation to adult resources. And I left, those of you who were around last time in Berlin will recall that I left Jose off the list, and he was sitting at the back in my line of vision. And this time I have written, that's why I've written the speech, because I don't want to forget. It is rather embarrassing. But I now will call each of my staff to come to the front, not to sit in the chairs because they're already pre-arranged, but to please join us. I call upon Radu Stiggy, who is my deputy, and to be honest, my solution finder. Radu is the one that I go to, I cry on his shoulder and say, please help me, my computer won't work. How do I solve this? And the person who I turn to in relation to trying to manage our finances, and that is Anne-Marie Hedib. Anne-Marie is also a solution finder, but she's also a stickler for the detail, and she won't break the rules, even if I press her very hard. So thank you, Anne-Marie. I want also to recognise the fact that this is Anne-Marie's last conference, because she will retire at the end of the year, and I have valued enormously having her with me to ensure that our finances are well managed. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Then Rosemary Henning. Rosemary is the Director of Diversity and Inclusion, and according to John Gagan, she is a saviour, because she is a pedant in relation to being able to get things right and to be able to have good project management. So Rosemary, thank you for all that you've done in that area, particularly in relation to the refugees and MOP financing. Raul Molina. Now, all of you will have seen in one of the videos, Raul, with his finger, with his thumb up, he broke his thumb playing a game. Exactly. It's what we tell leaders. Please be careful. You're not children. Don't indulge in the games. But, you know. Yeah. Rupert Schulbach. Rupert is my assistant. He probably tries to do things for me and keep me under control, but I'm not terribly controllable, I have to say. But I actually value enormously the role that Rupert plays in ensuring that the committee minutes, for example, are done 1 week after the committee meeting. And then there is a newsletter that goes out immediately afterwards. And I think that you all value that service, because Rupert takes the time to do that. So thank you, Rupert. Anne-Christine Vogelsang. Anne-Christine comes in 2 mornings a week. I tell a lie, because she does a heck of a lot more than 2 mornings a week, and we don't pay her. So she's a good volunteer, but she's also an excellent member of staff. Anne-Christine brings a huge amount of experience over 2 different periods working in the office, and it's great that she will move to take on more responsibilities closer to the end of the year in the handover from Anne-Marie. So Anne-Christine, thank you for Marguerite Plattard. Marguerite heads are what was called the funding office. It's not quite the right title, but I have to say it's not a bad title. Marguerite heads the team that has been responsible for how we present ourselves to an external audience. You'll hear maybe from Stock tomorrow about how effective that can be. And I think that the work that we do and the way that we train people is helping not just the European region, but other regions, and hopefully at world level as well. One of our volunteers has just been appointed to the position of external relations manager, something like that, and we're delighted. He was from Moldova, but in terms of the work with the Council of Europe, that was a key element. But I value the enormous commitment and the passion that Marguerite brings to her work. She is a very passionate person, and I don't mean in a love sense, I mean that she is passionate about her work. I can't make any comment about that. Cynthiana Rashford. Cynthiana is a former international commissioner. Therefore, she understands a lot of where you're coming from, and she knows what it's like to be working with not a huge amount of money in your central budget to be able to do things. She works her, I was going to say ASS, but maybe I say butt off to ensure that applications are made on time. And the reality is that this means sometimes almost 24-hour working as we're submitting applications. And I value enormously what the entire team does in Brussels to do that. But Cynthiana, as you're the motivator, the coordinator in relation to that, thank you for that. Camilla Palazzini. Camilla is a relatively newcomer, but actually you wouldn't realise. She's fitted in enormously well. And she brings a commitment to our external relations. She's taken over editing a newsletter to ensure that our external partners know what we're doing. So it's good to be able to communicate internally, but actually our stakeholders need to know what we're doing and how we can work better together. Thank you, Camilla, for what you're doing. And then Jordan Bayaktarov. It's a challenge for me to say some of these names, but because I don't ever refer to them as Mr. Bayaktarov. Jordan lives in Veles in the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. He is our Director of Organizational Development, and you saw the results in relation to GSAT. Certainly we had a wonderful volunteer team facilitating a lot of the GSAT assessments, but Jordan has been the mainstay in relation to every time there's a problem, Jordan's the one who sorts it out. And I think that he is a valuable member of the team at world level as well in terms of how GSAT is being implemented and feeding back in relation to that. So Jordan, thank you for your contribution. I have my 10.2, I actually have more than, they're bigger than that. Please join me in thanking them for their contribution.
And thank you to David for your enormous work you are doing. So this applause is also for you.
Okay, I will continue because we have a little exercise that we want to do to be able to celebrate our growth. One of the things that we were a little bit disappointed in the evaluation, which is online in English and the French is available, but we will ensure it goes online later on today. The evaluation was that people said, you didn't do anything to help us in growth. And in a way, we were slightly disappointed because we did a hell of a lot in relation to growth. Because we helped a significant number of associations review their program and make that better, or look at their management volunteers, the image of Scouting, their structural organizational development. So we were slightly disappointed. Maybe we're not good at selling the fact that that contributes to growth. But the reality is that one of the exercises that I did on behalf of the Secretary General and the chairperson of the World Scout Committee was to go through the numbers and try to update them. We were relatively successful. We got almost every set of numbers, at least at most 2 years old. So we have a relatively good understanding about how many members we have. We have about 1.79 million members that we can say are really Scouts. Now, I think all of us understand that that's not the real number. There are many, many more kids who benefit from Scouting, sometimes in day programs that are not members, But we know that sometimes people are frightened about when's the bill going to come and how much are we going to have to pay. And I think we understand that, and we are trying to ensure with all the people who are looking at fees and voting, etc., to ensure that we can do the best possible service for you. But we want to do something to illustrate that we could grow. So I will do a roll call again, and I'll ask each country to come up, and maybe Anne-Christine will assist me. We have a box of pens, be prepared, and we want you to look at the number. The number is from our records. It's probably not right. Don't worry. Yeah. Don't worry about the numbers that are there, but use it as a guide to say, in 3 years' time, what do you think you might have in terms of numbers? Aspirationally, think wide, think positively, think about what you can do to increase your members. Remember that we're trying to get 100 million by 2023. So, just to capture what we want you to do, come up whenever I call your association name, or country name. Take a sheet, and then take it back and have 1 minute to think. This is not a commitment. You're not signing a contract. I'm not going to come with a bill in 3 years' time to say, you told us you would have X. The Secretary General is saying maybe he will, but maybe not. I don't think that's his style. I think the reality is we would just like to have an indication. But at the same time, we will read out the number that we have for your associations. As I say, they may not be 100% correct, but actually it indicates that 3/4 of our members are growing. We are a growing region. There are some that are a little bit up and down, and sometimes that's because they don't have an effective way of counting the numbers. And there are some who need a little bit more help in terms of the numbers. And we will do everything in our power to ensure that that continues. So, are you comfortable with the exercise? We're not going to hold you to it, but we will ask you once you have your form filled in big letters to come to the front and form a long line so that we can see. And Anne-Marie is going to try to total up the figures so that we can come back to you and say our aspiration is that we will have X million members in 3 years' time. Okay, let's begin, otherwise we'll be here all night. Austria, 10,136. Belgium, 103,381. Bosnia-Herzegovina, 3,130. Bulgaria, 966. Croatia, 2,572. Cyprus, 5,890. Czech Republic, 46,190. Denmark, 43,279. Estonia, 1,346. Finland, 52,655. France, 76,342. Germany, 109,910. Greece, 18,643. Hungary, 9,728. Iceland, 4,807. Ireland, 44,982. Israel, 83,332. Italy, 102,099. Latvia, 872. Liechtenstein, 730. Lithuania, 1,844. Luxembourg, 6,327. The former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, 1,483. Malta, 3,100. Monaco, 374. Montenegro, 1,268. Netherlands, 57,516. Norway, 17,840. Poland, 35,697. Portugal, 80,718. Romania, 3,500. San Marino, 280. What? 260. Serbia, 5,282. Slovakia, 6,927. Slovenia, 6,150. Spain, 64,329. Sweden, 34,990. Switzerland, 23,298. Turkey, 141,277. United Kingdom, 530,999. Okay, when you have decided what your number is going to be, please stand along the front. Hold your cards up so that Anne-Marie can... No, other way.
I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Facing Anne-Marie.
Just done?
Can I borrow your pen? Thanks. Have it. Thank you. So, was it for 3 years?
Das kommt vor 2 Jahren, wir sind schon da. Aber nicht da. Sorry. Ja, ja. I said 3 years. That's 3 years. Also ihr habt sie doch mal so vor den ersten 3 Jahren. Sehr schön.
Especially when you do like this.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Marko! Barović!
I hope there are going to be many Facebook pages to capture this, because it would be good to look back in 3 years' time and see how many we're actually considering. I need to check with Anne-Marie if she is anywhere close to... And then we can announce it. Okay, it might be easier if we were to collect the forms, and then we can announce it later. But thank you for your engagement, because actually this is an important aspect. We have a big target to reach, so let's all work to try to achieve that. So thank you very much indeed. Give your applause to Anne-Christine.
Perdido si no. Looking at my speech.
Okay, dear friends, it's customary at this time for the person who has chaired the important reporting session to have a few words. And so, Gina, please give us your thoughts.
Thank you. Dear friends in Scouting, I will talk in English as the whole translated thing will be too complicated in multilingual. I'm sorry for that. So this is it. Another kind of meeting, another moment to influence the future of European Scouting, another great European Scout Conference just started today. This is a fantastic opportunity for all of us to learn from each other, to exchange and to build bridges. I know we like to share our ideas of resolutions, amendments, constitutional changes, the triennial plan, and strategic issues. For many of us, making amendments of amendments is simply great thinking. A few months ago, I gave training for future leaders and explained them WOSM's governance structure and what I do at these conferences. They asked me about my tent and if we would go hiking. And then came the one question they asked me: what do you do or decide at this conference that changes something for us? What do we get out of it? I am sure we all know a bunch of answers to this question. And I guess many of you have been asked the same thing before. The point of this conference is not us finding ourselves in an ivory tower. Let's be aware that this conference world sometimes tends to be a soap bubble. We are not here to hand in amendments just for the sake of amendments. And this is not the reason we are doing this job. The point is to focus on a sustainable, high-quality region, build on the many achievements of the last years, and focusing on the future of our CAPs, Scouts, groups, and adults in Scouting. Talking about these many young people, I am really happy to look around and see so many young people here. Europe proves that youth empowerment is not only an empty concept, and therefore I invite everyone under 26 to rise up. Under 26, just rise. Look around you. There are quite many. I'm also rising. Congratulations to you all. This is your moment. Be active in your delegations. Ask questions, raise topics that are important to you, and do not wait until you're the leaders of tomorrow. Be the actors of today. This is a very personal topic to me. I'm coming from an NSA where everyone, no matter what age, has the opportunity and gets empowered to participate in decision-making processes. I became International Commissioner at the age of 21. I found myself in a safe learning environment, and through youth forums, academies, and several network and capacity buildings opportunities, I got empowered to be the person I am today, and this makes me very grateful. Dear NSOs, please encourage youth empowerment. Involve young people in decision-making processes. Do not make it an alibi participation, but support them in creating the youth-led movement we want to be. Dear friends in Scouting, I want to thank my delegation from Luxembourg for all the support and trust they give me. Furthermore, I want to thank the Norwegian Scouts for hosting this memorable event. And last but not least, thank you all for shaping the future of the European region and making this a fantastic European Scout Conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julia, for steering us through this important part of our conference. And thank you very much for the inspiring words, reminding us that we are a youth movement and that sometimes if we are a youth movement, it is very good that at the chair of the conference, at the chair of a meeting, there are also people who are not over 50 like me or like him. Really? So, we will welcome you back when we are conducting the voting session tomorrow. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. So, for the older people.
At this stage, I hand over to our colleague, Luc Panichon and Goran Hagerdal, to conduct the next important ceremony related to the presentation of 3 bronze wolves to distinguished members of our region.
Dear friends, good afternoon. I'm sorry I could not stand up a few minutes ago. I just turned 27 yesterday. This was not written there, but I can tell you something. In my last days as Secretary General, I visited Luxembourg and I met this young lady. I think she was 15 or 16 at that time. And I said to myself, she's going to go far. And today she is presiding a session. Bravo. The first thing I want to share with you is that Mrs. Kirsty Brown, the chairperson of the World Honors and Awards Committee, is sending her apologies for not being with you today. She's from Australia, and she found that the trip was maybe a little bit long and a little bit far. I hope I will replace her up to her standard. The second thing I want to say is that when you take a former Secretary General off the shelves, dust him, dress him up properly, and point him in the right direction, there is a risk that you give him the opportunity to share memories, and I will share 2 with you. The first is that exactly 20 years ago, in 1996, when some of you were at college, others at primary school, others at kindergarten, and I bet some of you were not born, WOSM held its 34th World Scout Conference in Norway, and I'm glad to acknowledge here today the presence of Runar Bakke, the then chairman of the Norwegian Host Committee, with whom I had the privilege to work for that world event. Runar, where are you? He has disappeared from the room. I know he's there. He's there. The second thing I want to share is a bit more moving for me, because it is precisely at this World Scout Conference in 1996 that I received my bronze wolf, and I have the feeling I'm closing a circle. Dear friend, the bronze wolf is the only award conferred by the World Scout Committee. It is awarded solely in recognition of outstanding service by an individual to the World Scout movement. The idea of creating this distinction was born in 1924 to replace the Silver Wolf, a national British award, which the founder, Lord Baden-Powell, used to give to scouters in any country who had done outstanding, valuable work for the movement. The decision was reached in 1934, but it is finally at its meeting on the 2nd of August 1935 in Stockholm that the International Committee approved the award. And the committee, as you can imagine, unanimously conferred the first bronze wolf to the chief scout of the world, Lord Baden-Powell. As the name indicates, the decoration is a bronze wolf that is worn around the neck on a green ribbon with a yellow border. The bronze was deliberately chosen in preference to such noble metal as gold or silver to underline the spirit of simplicity of the movement. It was so that the highest award in the movement should consist of something having almost no intrinsic value. During the first 20 years of this distinction, only 14 awards were made. Today, the Bronze Wolf is still the only award conferred by the World Scout Committee, the successor of the International Committee. It is still given solely in recognition of outstanding service by an individual to the World Scout movement. Today, 82 years after the institution of the awards, A total of 353 bronze wolves have been confirmed. Around 200 of our brothers and sisters have gone home, but fortunately around 153 are still with us. Today, we are fortunate to have with us 5 bronze wolf holders, and I ask them to stand up to be recognized. The first is Secretary General Scott Tier. Christian Larcher. Hartmut Keiler. And your humble servant. The first scout leader we are going to recognize today is Therese Birmingham, the Chief Commissioner of Scouting Ireland. Therese, may I ask you to join us on stage? And Goran will read the citation.
Hi. Professionally, Therese Birmingham is a taxation consultant. She set up her own practice in 1989. Therese, driven by her desire to provide consistent and persistent positive experience to young people in Scouting, she championed the cause of quality leadership and training throughout the 1980s. The work culminated in her appointment as National Training Commissioner in 1993, an election to the National Executive Board that year. Her leader training framework and adult resources policies were widely acknowledged as being innovative and effective by other Scout associations in Europe, particularly in the former Eastern Bloc countries. Therese introduced adult resource policies in Ireland and set up a quality leader training programs in Poland, Slovenia, Romania, and Serbia. This work underpinned the re-establishment and development of Scouting ethos in these countries at a critical period for them. Her exceptional service to Irish Scouting over the years has been acknowledged by both associations, and in 2003, Therese was awarded the Silver Shamrock by Scouting Ireland. Therese was elected to the European Scout Committee in 1998. Therese was re-elected to the European Scout Committee in 2001 and was appointed chairperson, the first woman to hold this position. Her time as chairperson is highly regarded as a time of focus on the issue of growth in the European region, where her leadership managed to keep a united European region. Therese was elected to the World Scout Committee in 2005 and was appointed vice chairman. In addition to her role as vice chairman, she was a very active member of both the audit and the budget committee. In the triennium 2008 to 2011, she was the chairman of Scouting Profile Committee. Under her leadership, substantial work was carried out on the Scouting's brand, which is now protected in the World Scout Constitution. Therese's service to national, regional, and World Scouting clearly demonstrates the significant impact she has had on the movement. In her commitment to achieving results, the example she has set for others, and the change she has introduced to the frameworks and policies of the movement. Her work on keeping Scouts safe from harm was adopted by the World Scout Conference and continues to contribute to ensuring safety for all Scouts around the world. In recognition of these exceptional services to World Scouting, the World Scout Committee has decided to award the Bronze Wolf to Therese Birmingham.
The second scout leader we are going to recognize tonight is Amos Ilani from Israel. May I ask Amos to join?
Amos Ilani has been involved in scouting since 1948 as a youth member and then as an adult leader. Amos has served scouting in various capacities. Volunteer head of Tel Aviv's largest scout group for 15 years, chairman of the International Relations Committee of the Israel Boy and Girl Scouts Federation, international commissioner, founder and member of the board of the International Forum of Jewish Scouts since 2006. Amos's activities at national level could be considered as normal activities from a national leader. However, because of the sensitivity of the issue and the personal strong involvement of Amos, this deserves to be recognized by World Scouting. Amos is currently Chief Commissioner of the Israel Boy and Girl Scouts Federation, Chairman of the Committee for Relations between Israeli and German Scouts since 1988, Vice President of the International Forum of Jewish Scouts, representative of the Scout movement in the Israeli Public Council for Youth Exchange. He created and strengthened the dialogue between ethnic groups in Israel and Palestinian territories. He has promoted the participation of the 6 associations of the Israeli Federation in the international events abroad and recently was involved in the realization of an innovative coexistence project with dramatic results in bringing different communities together. At regional and world level, Amos initiated in 1996 a motion to support the recognition of the Palestinian Scouts within WOSM with Morris Zilka and Jacques Brion. He has led the exchange program between Israeli and German Scouts since 1988, with approximately 200 groups having been exchanged between the two countries, and the participation of over 3,000 young Scouts and adult leaders. Amos has strengthened scouting within Jewish communities worldwide and has actively participated in the preparations of the Faiths and Beliefs zones for the last 3 World Scout Jamborees in 2007, 2011, and 2015, the best rated activity of the last World Jamboree. Amos's activities at regional and world level certainly denote a strong will and tireless involvement in further enhancing scouting at world level and enhancing relations between Israeli Scouts and scouting in other countries. He has dedicated more than 65 years to the Scout movement and influenced generations of young people in Israel and other countries. Amos is a tireless worker, creating consciousness of peace and comprehension in a region of the world marked by conflicts. In recognition of these exceptional services to World Scouting, the World Scout Committee has decided to award the Bronze Wolf to Amos Ilani.
The third and unfortunately last Scout leader we are going to recognize tonight is Mark Lombard from Switzerland. May I ask Moot and Mark to join me on stage. Lombard was a member of Swiss Scouting. He started as a Cub Scout, then became Scout, Rover Scout, and troop leader. He completed his Wood Badge training and then became a Scout branch leader. After university, Mark worked for 5 years in the public education system before joining Scouting as a professional in 1984 as director of the Kandersteg International Scout Center, a position he held until 1992. It is during his years as director of Kandersteg that Mark has competently contributed to the development of Kandersteg, which continues to maintain its importance in World Scouting. He took responsibility when the center was having financial difficulties, and he had the difficult task to motivate young people from all around the world to come to Kandersteg. Mark created 2 awards, the High Alpine Awards and the International Friendship Award. Thousands of young people learned to accept the mountain challenges of life of the High Alpine Award. This was all part of Mark's ambition to re-establish Kandersteg and the International Scout Center worldwide, a WOSM center. As a result, he created the title of Mini Permanent Jamboree, which is still in use today, with some 6,000 to 8,000 guests per year and 20,000 to 30,000 overnights. To complete his vision, Mark wanted to host an international scout event, which resulted in the 1992 Rover Moot, for which he was deputy chief and welcomed 2,000 rovers from 52 countries. With the supportive committee, he implemented major renovation and projects, such as the new chalet, renovation of campsite, and the new Candle Lodge project, for which Mark was chairman of the building commission. Mark was also responsible for a number of parallel projects, such as the European Scout Center Network and the USA-Europe Camp Staff Exchange Program. Mark ended his professional position in 1992 with 50,000 guests and around 50,000 overnight. After completing his time at Kandersteg, Mark became Secretary General of the Swiss Scout movement for 7 years until 1999 and was self-employed until 2011 when he took the job of CEO of a foundation teaching kids sustainable development. As a volunteer in Scouting, Mark was a member of the Kandersteg International Scout Center Committee from 1992 to 2012 and was its vice chairman from 1992 to 2010. He also became chairman of the Kandersteg International Scout Foundation from 1992 to 2014. More recently, through his personal relationship network, Mark convinced a generous Swiss Scout friend to invest in the purchase of an additional old building, Sonnenblick, so further increasing the size and the assets of Kandersteg. Mark attended 4 European and World Scout conferences, either in a volunteer capacity or as a staff member of the World Scout Bureau, as well as 2 Jamboree and 2 World Scout Moot. There is no doubt that the World Scout community owes the success of Kandersteg today to a great extent to Mark, who worked tirelessly not only as director for many years, but also in his volunteer capacity on several bodies of Kandersteg, during which time he gave the necessary motivation to the development of the center as a leading World Scout center. While not being in the traditional scouting circle, Mark Lombard is a scout leader whose work has represented an important foundation stone to the development of the international dimension of World Scouting. In recognition of these exceptional services to World Scouting, the World Scout Committee has decided to award the Bronze Wolf to Mark Lombard. now ask Amos and Teres to come back in front and with Mark and Output to get a group picture. Weaver is the chairman, the chairperson. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Luke. On behalf of the committee, I wish to underline how we feel honored that three European, now bronze medal holder decided to have this award during our conference. We are very happy and thank you very much.
So before I give the floor to our hosts, I just want to remind you that we have the International Evening commencing at 19:30, 7:30, in the plaza of the conference center. Hopefully it won't be raining. And apart from that, we can reconvene. Okay, then I'll give the floor to David.
No, not practical. This is a report back on your exercise that gave us the number that we could expect in 3 years' time. We have all but one NSO who have completed the form, but without that, we have a potential membership of 2,051,000, a few odds. I would like to challenge you to be more adventurous, but this is nonetheless a 10% increase in our numbers over a 3-year period. So let's try to be adventurous as we're trying to grow, because actually it's about more young people benefiting from this great organization.
So are we allowed to say that we can reconvene tomorrow morning at 8:45 with focus on world level inputs?
Thank you very much.
Please make sure that you hand back the interpretation kits as you leave the conference hall.
You're going to the reception downstairs?
The country signs, please leave.